Excited. I think, obviously our goal of reaching the playoffs last year we accomplished, but now, we want to be a championship contender. I think we're putting in the pieces to be able to do that, hopefully add some free agents, and you can just feel the excitement in the whole organization and in the city, our fans. So honestly, I can't wait to get back out there. I wish we had a game tomorrow, honestly. Yeah.
The Indiana Fever have come a long way in just a short time. Not too long ago, they were finishing seasons with just a handful of wins, but now, this team is a powerhouse on the rise. Thanks to the guidance of Coach Stephanie White and the addition...
Quick thoughts on the $80 million Fever facility and Stephanie White being like, we're going to be aggressive in free agency, and massive names who are available. And I think, this is my bold prediction, the Indiana Fever are going to be playing for the WNBA title next year. Wow. They have their cornerstone pieces under rookie contracts,
including Caitlin Clark. The Fever are primed for greatness. In fact, here's a bold prediction. The Fever will be in the running for the WNBA title next year. This isn't just a rebuild anymore. It's a transformation. The Fever have built a strong foundation with stars like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, and now they're adding top-tier talent through free agency to truly compete for a championship. Let's take a moment to appreciate just how far the Fever have come.
There are big-name veteran pieces that the Fever have money to go get to put them in position to be playing for a WNBA title. That's my bold prediction.
Just 5 games. But after some strategic moves, the Fever have gone from the bottom of the standings to a legitimate playoff contender. With their new $80 million facility and a front office focused on building a championship team, things are looking up for Indiana. One of the biggest turning points came with the drafting of Aaliyah Boston.
We felt this way to begin with, that the Fever were going to be a destination because you have Caitlin Clark, you have Aaliyah Boston, and you have a really, really young team. And I think now with Steph White, who is hands down one of the best coaches in the league, and we saw that with Connecticut, even though they fell a little bit short. I think that, this is
generational talent, a dominant center that immediately shifted the team's dynamic. Then, in 2024, the Fever selected Caitlin Clark, one of the most electrifying players the league has ever seen. Clark immediately made her presence felt, averaging 19.2 points per game and setting multiple records in her first season. She's a game changer. But Clark can't do it all alone. That's where players like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull come in. As this core group continues to grow, the Fever have proven they're no longer an easy team to beat. Indiana is no longer in a rebuilding phase. They are a serious threat. And now, the Fever are going even further. They've made bold...
You in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with
free agency to surround their stars with even more talent. With their sights set on a championship, this team is ready to take the next step. Last season, the Fever made a statement by reaching the playoffs for the first time in almost a decade, finishing with a 20-20 record. But Caitlin Clark knows this team can be even better. I see a lot of players wanting to come here this offseason. A lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever, she said. So she went to management and they listened. The front office, led by President Kelly Krauskopf and GM Amber Cox, went to work. The Fever's offseason moves were all about building depth around their core. The first priority was re-signing Kelsey Mitchell, who had become the team's heart and soul, averaging 19.2 points per game. The next step was adding versatile players who could score, defend, and complement the strengths of Mitchell and Clark. They also needed size and defensive power in the forward position and a reliable backup guard. The biggest splash came when the Fever signed Natasha Howard, a 3-time champion, All-Star, and Defensive Player of the Year. Howard's experience and leadership bring a championship pedigree to the Fever, and her style of play is a perfect fit with Caitlin Clark's fast-paced, playmaking abilities. Despite being 33, Howard proved last season with the Dallas Wings that she's still at the top of her game, putting up impressive numbers, 17.6 points.
Building quality depth is going to be important. When you have a core 3 like we have, surrounding them with players who are going to, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
7 rebounds and 2.9 assists per game. With Natasha Howard in the fold, the Fever have added another piece to their already impressive roster. This team is no longer just looking to make the playoffs. They are building a true championship contender. The pieces are falling into place in Indiana, and big things are on the horizon. Natasha Howard, the game changer for the Indiana Fever. Natasha Howard isn't just a scorer.
Front office promised Caitlin Clark they'd bring in top talent. And boy, did they deliver. Let's talk about the masterstroke that sent shockwaves through the WNBA. Picture this: a three-time champion, an all-star, and a Defensive Player of the Year all rolled into one. That's exactly what Indiana got when they signed Natasha Howard.
All-around player. Last season, she shot an impressive 45.6% from the field, which isn't just good, it's elite. Add in her proficiency in the pick and roll, her ability to space the floor, and her wealth of experience, and it's clear, she's the type of player who can elevate any team. The Indiana Fever made the playoffs last year for the first time since 2016, but in that first game, none of their starters had any prior playoff experience. Enter Natasha Howard. She's got over 50 games of playoff experience and has won 3 WNBA championships. Talk about a perfect fit. But here's the kicker. Howard isn't just a scoring machine. She's
also outstanding in the pick and roll. She is a floor spacer, and she brings experience. The Indiana Fever made the playoffs last year for the first time since 2016. And in that first game, none of their starters had any playoff experience. Natasha Howard has over 50 games of playoff experience, 3-time WNBA champion. She fits them beautifully.
Not. You remember when she won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019? Well, she hasn't slowed down one bit. Howard can dominate the paint and still run the floor on fast breaks. She's like a Swiss Army knife. She can do it all. Clip of Howard blocking shots. Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA? Just lock it up.
Natasha Howard throws it right up. Oh! Anthony Meister's kidney! Oh! Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA! You should just lock it up! John can't give it to him, and right there is Howard with a block.
And there she is again, another block from Howard. She's a nightmare for opposing offenses. But it's not just her defense that's a game changer. Howard can also stretch the floor with her three-point shooting. Imagine this, Aaliyah Boston feasting in the paint while Howard, Clark, and Hull keep defenders honest on the perimeter. That's a whole new dynamic for the Fever offense, and it's a nightmare scenario for any team trying to defend them. Howard's versatility fits the Fever's system beautifully. As a rim-running stretch four, she's exactly what they needed. Caitlin Clark is already the best ahead passer in the league, and now Howard will be able to run the floor and be a force in the pick and roll, just like she did in Seattle. Howard brings more than just talent. She brings invaluable experience. And speaking of Aaliyah Boston, Howard's presence will be huge for her development. Boston is already a dominant force, but now she's got a veteran mentor in Howard to help guide her. Together, they'll form a front court that will have the rest of the league staying up at night. But the true magic of this signing is how it transforms the entire Fever team. With Howard on the court, Indiana isn't just a team with potential, they're a team that's ready to win now. Remember all the talk heading into the playoffs last year? How little playoff experience the Fever had? Well, now they've got 33 games of playoff experience in Howard alone. That's a huge upgrade. In that first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun, the Fever started with 0 playoff experience from their starting 5.